All right, Chelsea fans, welcome back to another episode. That's right, of the London is Blue podcast. Hopefully your favorite Chelsea podcast out there and a part of the Men in Blazers Media Network. Dan, one of your hosts here alongside Nick. Easter Sunday, the 20th of April, just about 10 o'clock Eastern time, as the duo here is getting locked in to talk about Chelsea's 2-1 shock victory against Fulham at Craven Cottage. On one of the high holidays of the Christian calendar, they were able to return. They were risen. So many three-word match reviews, Nick, with religious-based puns about this one because it did not look as if it was going to go to plan. The plan got blown up. The plan got destroyed. The plan was shredded. Maresca walked off at full time. But the guys still got it done.
Yeah, against the odds. Plucky little Chelsea, you know.
The wee little team.
Beat up on big bad Fulham, you know. That's the storyline for the ages, Dan.
Look, there was a lot of talk from Fulham fans heading into this one about the opportunity to do, for the first time ever, the in-season league double over Chelsea to win the home and away fixtures. And I was on our good network partners, friends, Fulhamish podcast. They were on ours as well to talk about the game. On our episode and our part of the recording that we did, I did not talk about that as much. They were very excited on their side to talk about that as a possibility. And I'll have to tell you, it didn't happen.
No.
It didn't happen, Nick. It didn't happen. And it was the reverse sucker punch because it was the exact same way they got us out at the end of the last game.
I tweeted this right after the match. It's almost like minutes apart from being a copy and paste. We scored early in the December and the Boxing Day fixture. They scored two late goals, one in like the 85th and one in the 95th. Same exact thing here. I think it was the 20th minute, the 82nd minute, and the 93rd minute. Like, it's absolutely crazy, the symmetry that exists between these two matches. The away team obviously winning both. And, for a lot of both matches, you would have assumed that the team who had scored first was going to go on and win pretty easily. And for whatever reason, it just it didn't happen that way for either matchup.
Look, we want to get into a couple things here about the fact that in the last 20 minutes or so, it was vibes and not tactics from this Chelsea team that got it done. Obviously, we got to talk about our guy Ty and then Pedro Neto with a wonderful strike at the very end on was maybe a not great overall performance. And then maybe how we're feeling just in general, knowing the run of games that Chelsea have remaining between now and the end of the season. And what are some things that we think that just are giving us big concern about our ability to get it done over those matches, and maybe things that are hopefully giving us some signs of life and opportunity here. Before that, as always, some three-word match reviews to set the stage, Nick. I picked out a couple for you here. I did try to not go hard on the puns. I tried to make it work across the line for you here.
That's okay, because I have a pun. So, and I'm also, because Chidge demands, if you know the Chelsea fan cast, we met up with Chidge whilst we were in London, and he gave me this cool Chelsea Fancast starting 11 t-shirt. So if you're on YouTube, I fulfilled my promise to Chidge to wear it on the podcast on this holiest of days, because I rate him quite highly. So Beltway Blues straight out of the gate with "We won away?" ? Laughing, crying, smiling face. Yeah, your guess is as good as ours, guys. Charlie Tuna with "My heart's full ham." Sloth on holiday. He, in parens, Neto, is risen. Mr. Thurman with "stay of execution." There is no doubt about that. Spanish Joe with "winning, comma, by George." Love that. That's a very good one. Shane, "players had enough." We will talk about that in the El Tactico switch that happened. Let's see. Scarrat with "Craven Chelsea comebacks." That's what's up. See that? That's a pun we can all get behind. Eddie Jackson, "The Late Show." And it was late, Dan, because the old 93rd minute, didn't see it coming. I'll be honest.
Oh, I mean, you had rescued at least a point, and then you were hoping by some miracle, by some chance, Chelsea would be able to get it done, and they did on the day. I just went with maybe Europe, maybe, because it's this constant flirtation. Do you want to be in a top 5 spot, Chelsea? No, we don't. But we might want to be. But we don't. But we might want to be. We can't decide what we want to do across these matches. We'll play for 45 minutes, maybe. We'll not play for 45 minutes, maybe. We're a very hot and cold team, and it showed today. But again, let the people know your pun. Just get it done.
Just get it done. All right. For those who know the story of this Easter Sunday, I would say this is the unlikeliest Easter comeback that perhaps we've seen in some time. A couple thousand years, maybe. I don't know. I just this is a this is not one that I had on the old bingo card for sure. So it's happy. It's happy that it happened. It was an absolute travesty to get there, but maybe those stories have parallels. We'll see.
Wow. Anyway, just as a reminder, it was Fulham this past Sunday, April 20th, 2025 in the Premier League. Apparently 2025 years, give or take, after the last unlikeliest Easter comeback. In the Premier League, got Craven Cottage scoring 1-2 to Chelsea. Alex Iwobi in the 20th minute with a well-worked goal off of a pretty decent mistake from Chelsea. Tyree George in the 83rd minute, and then Pedro Neto again in the 90th plus 3rd minute. And just a reminder, it was Rob Sanchez between the sticks, Reece James at right back, but kind of midfield. Trev Chalobah, Levi Colwell, and Marc Cucurella. Enzo Fernandez and Moises Caicedo in the midfield. Madueke, Palmer, Neto, and Jackson, your attackers up top. But that wasn't all she wrote, because Malagusto came in on the 46th minute for Reece James. Then Jadon Sancho came in for Madueke in the 46th minute as well. Tyree George comes in the 78th minute for Nico Jackson. And then Tosin comes in the 89th minute to plenty of boos for Malagusto in the 89th minute.
How you gonna boo Tosin? Like
he left on a free transfer. You didn't offer him a chance to stay. I mean, maybe you did, but
Muppets. That's like Brighton behavior. Don't be Brighton, please.
Benoit, Philippe, Josh, Romeo, Kiernan, unused subs. Good for them. They showed up. They didn't do anything today. And the only other item of note was that in the 80th minute, Tosin came in for Malagusto. So when injured, we'll talk about that and Maresca's comments after the fact. But Nick, it was probably the lineup you would have expected, even though some of them also started in the Thursday night defeat very recently against a team from Poland that Chelsea lost to at home in the Conference League. So make it make sense to me.
No, it made a ton of sense then, and it makes even more sense now, Dan. Thanks for asking. Thursday was such nonsense that when we started this game in the way that we started this game, I wanted to pull my hair out, because not only were the players not fresh, they clearly had not gained anything, as Maresca had quote unquote intended from that performance on Thursday. And it just looked like a lot of tired players out there, even though a lot of them had rest, even though a lot of them hadn't played for a full calendar week. It just didn't look like there was any try in there since Ipswich. And it took some subs to reignite the team, and it took some pretty decent calls. It's the only thing I will give credit to Maresca for today. Some pretty decent calls on substitutions for players who simply just were not playing well enough. And the only thing I would say about that is some of them deserve the hook sooner than what they got it. And I know that's a hard thing for a coach to do, because you have to then go train with them the very next day and figure out why their performance was as bad as it was. And I'm looking at you, Reece James, because you were pretty awful in the first half. And it's going to be difficult, but it was required. And Nicholas Jackson should have come off at halftime. He was awful. I mean, he was terrible. So yeah, no, I didn't get Thursday then, and I certainly fucking don't get it now.
Well, let's look at some top line stats then. That might try to help paint a picture for you here. We had 59% possession of the ball, there 41%. It was a low XG game for the fact that it had 3 goals, Nick. 0.25 for Fulham, 0.9 for Chelsea. 1-1 big chance between both teams. 19 shots total, 13 for Chelsea, 6 for Fulham. They had 5 goalkeeper saves.
we missed the one big chance, right?
We
That was
did,
the
yes.
Neto. Yeah,
Yeah.
nice.
Look, it's all about just what you average out at, Nick. It's not about scoring the big
Yeah,
chances. It's about
yeah.
all these point zero
Uh,
one, point zero threes, point zero fives that add up to an eventual goal you may score. And this one came due. He hit the punch card. 5 goalkeeper saves for Leno to the 0 that Sanchez made on the day. And then just the shots on target. 8 of our 13 were on target, just to be fair,
hey,
and
that's better.
then 1 on target for the 6 that Fulham had. So just maybe some things to keep in mind there. And then 93 as a one random stat, Pedro Neto's 93rd minute goal was Chelsea's latest in a Premier League London derby on record since 2006-7. Turnaround up to Joe there.
Okay.
I'll take that
Okay.
deal.
Sure. That's fine.
Do you have a shithouse moment of the match to follow that up with?
Yeah, the celly after Neto celebration, or
Yeah.
after the goal, obviously, the goal celebration was wonderful. And notably, no players ran over to Maresca after that. I think they really hung out with each other, and I think we'll talk about why here in a second. But it's nice to see them celebrate with the fans after as well. The away end was truly on it today, despite not having much to cheer for a very, very, very long time. And the players did a nice thing to own that moment and celebrate with them after what's been just an awful run of results.
Well, I did like the "How shit are you? We're winning away" chant
Yeah.
that was coming through loud
Yeah.
and clear
Loud
over
and
the
clear.
broadcasts.
They got to reposition those microphones pitch side, Dan. That
I
was
mean, to
tough.
be fair, we are 7th overall in the away form table, and you would have to look at teams like Leicester or Southampton to find similar like lost records for away form right now. We were
Now, Dan, are
3.
those relegation teams?
Yes, they are. Just let me finish my point, and then you can make the joke. So we had 3 losses, a draw, and then now a win in terms of our last 5 matches away from home. You were looking at like Leicester had 5 losses and a draw. You had Southampton who have had 3 losses, 1 draw, and a win. So like those were the most 2 comparable teams when you look at away form within the last 5. Thankfully, we're turning a corner, though. That's nice. Like, hey, let's start stacking the wins now. I don't care that they happen late. That will like you win all the end here late, Nick. It's gonna erase all the bad memories I have from earlier in the season.
Yeah, I mean, maybe.
Ish.
Sure. That's fine.
Ish.
I would say this is our first away win of 2025 in the league. Notably, it's April 20th. So it's gone well. It's gone very well. Yep.
All right, we're gonna take a first ad break. When we come back, vibes and not tactics. How the guys just decide to play ball, and when they do that, sometimes you win games. So interesting idea. We'll see if it sticks. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. Nick, it did look like in the last 20-ish minutes of the game. I don't know about you. My take was the system was thrown out the window.
Correct.
The way we were playing, the way we were passing, kind of stopped the whole let's just try to cross it in over top of the box to people who are not as tall or not great at heading the ball in or claiming the ball. And let's try to actually bring it centrally and take some shots. Seemed like that worked because in the Ty and Neto, very similar positions, ended up scoring their goals. To be fair, though, both phenomenal hits, both really strong hits from them.
Both great hits, but yeah, I mean, you're 100% right. I mean, the reason why we're starting with the last 20 minutes is the first 70 minutes were so diabolically bad and uninspiring that I think many of us in the community were ready to mythically or hypothetically fire everyone involved with Chelsea Football Club. That's how bad it was. And the fact that I think it's noticeable, like if you go and rewatch it, and I rewatched the second half just to make sure I had this like kind of right in my head.
You didn't want to rewatch the first half?
Dan, I skipped over the first half. Thanks for asking. But I rewatched the second half, and it is it's almost the 70th minute on the dot where Enzo Fernandez kind of leads this charge in my mind in the way that we started just kind of opening up and playing longer, playing more direct. players, multiple players layering into the box instead of them running in a straight fucking line to all try and get the same ball. Like, it just looked like vibes. It looked like they were like, fuck this playbook. We're done with this system. We're not doing the minute we cross the halfway line, we have to pass it back to maintain fake control in a game that we had no business even trying to have fake control of, because this team is better than Fulham. They should be better than Fulham by a lot. Like, it shouldn't be a remotely close encounter, but yet here we are. And they just decided to say, fuck it, let's ball. Let's go. And look, I know we're going to talk about Ty. I know we're going to talk about Pedro Neto, but the midfield did such an incredible job late in the game to win the ball back, to advance the ball up the midfield. It really started from those two in my eyes. And then Trev, who, at the end ends up playing right back again because Reece James gets subbed for a poor performance in the first half. Hope he's obviously not injured or something worse. And Malo Gusto pulls his hamstring very clearly and late in the second half. And so guess who? Mr. Reliable out there again, Trev Chalobah, starts executing some longer passes down the right as well. And we start going crazy. And I don't know why it's taken this long for the players to legitimately just go, I don't like the system. I want to do it. And we're going to go and we're going to win. And if we win, he can't say shit to us because we were losing with his plan. Now we're doing a plan that works. I just, it's so noticeable. 4 shots, 0 goals in the first half, 9 shots, 2 goals. And we just started racking up the shots. And I've been desperate for this team to start shooting at goal. There are so many bang average goalkeepers in the Premier League. We would know we have one of them. Like, there are so many bang average goalkeepers. Shoot the ball at the fucking goal and see what happens.
Wow. A passionate speech from Nick Verlaney. One of many this season, inspired by
lately,
football.
Man. Jesus.
I'll say the first half wasn't good for either team. Like, the first half
awful.
was very bad football. I think the around the 20th minute, we started to find something again, but we clearly walked into the game hoping that it wasn't going to ramp up as quickly as it did. Now, again, you just look at the fact that between the two teams, when you had a first half where there were 6 total shots, they had 2 and we had 4. Like, there wasn't anything doing. Like, it was a lot of just passes getting overturned, balls getting knocked into somebody, balls getting knocked out of play. Like, really just not anything inspiring. And so, like, I think to the point you made earlier around what happened on Thursday and how this team probably didn't come in as fresh as it could have. Several players that started in this game, Reece James, Kukurea, you had Nico Jackson, Cole Palmer, who all started on Thursday and were forced to start again in this game. And so I think, again, you saw the knock-on effect. You saw players were impacted, and it was really necessary for some of those changes to come in with players who were not as stretched, who were a little bit more fresh. And again, it is hard to be fresh at this point in the season for teams. And most teams are struggling for fitness, particularly if you're a team that's in European competition against teams that are not in European competition, who get, that one-ish week between every game versus the teams that don't get that. Like, it is the price you have to pay for being in some type of European competition. But clearly, it really was a second half game for both teams. And I think very, very lucky that Fulham even got a goal in this game.
I mean, I see what you're saying, but the difference in energy and approach in a lot of this game, and not just the first half, but early in the second half too, to me, signified that Chelsea were on the back foot and Fulham were on the front foot. And Fulham felt very confident that they were going to beat us in this game. They looked confident like they were going to beat us. And I agree, it was a low quality football match. Like, there wasn't a whole lot between the two teams, but Chelsea weren't even matching the energy. And I think that's where a lot of us have a problem, right? Because Maresca makes this big bet on Thursday that he's going to play some players into form. He's going to play Nico. He's going to play Cole. He's going to get everyone firing so that we can go on a late season surge just like we did last year. and sneak into a European place because it's looking pretty bad right now. And it backfires spectacularly, spectacularly. And then you look at the way that a lot of those players who played on Thursday played in this match, and it was bad. It was dire. And so, yeah, he gets credit for making the subs, but he doesn't get credit for fucking it up in the first place. Like that is I think the really difficult part about this to me, which is a tacit acknowledgement that you shouldn't have done what you did on Thursday. You had a 3-goal lead. And now Ty George has to come in and save you because of reasons and because your team simply is not playing the system in the way that you are training them to play the system in any given match week. So, like, again, I want to give him credit for acknowledging the mistake and like trying to fix it mid game, but it's part of the reason why my theory of the case right now is that we only play halves of football, and we do only play halves of football. We only played 20 minutes of football today. Like this was not even a half of decent watchable football. It was 20 max.
Well, in the 20 minutes that were watchable, I think you've been talking a lot about Ty George this season. Ty George gets a great goal in this game.
Great
Definitely a
goal.
goal that I'm sorry to my neighbors downstairs and above me for a very loud noise that happened right after that goal was scored. Thoughts, feelings, opinions on the Ty George cameo?
Cobham does not let you down. Doesn't let you down. Josh doesn't let you down. Ty doesn't let you down. Any one of the young debutantes that has come in this year has not put a foot wrong. And we said very clearly that like once Ty got his first goal, whenever that happened, and it happened obviously a week and a half ago in Poland, that weight lifted off his shoulders was going to mean that he could start performing with the confidence that his skill and talent definitely deserves, but that his work rate has deserved. He has worked incredibly hard, and he's the one in our UECL games that's doing a lot of the pressing. He's running around like a madman. We said during the league phase of the UECL, he's trying a little bit too hard. It's almost like he's going so hard to try and make it happen. He needs to let the game come to him. This is a look. It's not a Neto level finish, but he did what so few of our players have done in this terrible run, which is turn, pivot, shoot. That's it. It's not complicated. He got the ball in a position where he could do something with it. And instead of being on his stronger right foot, coming off the left and hitting it on a stronger right foot, he took it with his weaker foot and he buries it. And it's low and it's kind of a worm burner, and it's a really hard shot for a goalkeeper to keep out, regardless if they're in good position or not. And he took a gamble. That's it. It's a great goal because he tried.
Yeah.
Is it gonna be on goal of the month? No.
You sure?
But I don't care. I don't care because like we needed someone to do something in that moment, and it was him because I don't think he has the baggage of all this other bullshit that's gone on, and he's just out there to play ball. And by the way, he's doing it as a center forward, which I think we should all be impressed by because that's not his position. But damn it, if I don't want to see him play there in any games upcoming, I mean, he's doing it right now, and I'm just super proud of him because I think he would have expected to play more this year than he has, especially given the limited production that's coming out of our wings right now. And when he's come on in a really, really difficult and toxic moment, he saved this. He saved the whole thing. It's an incredible feat, Dan. Like I'm super proud of him, and I'm excited to see what he's if he can like parlay this into future success, because I think that first goal was the weight of the world off his shoulders, and this goal is just going to be like a lightning bolt for him.
4 touches in the entirety of that cameo. 1 shot on target, 1 goal. The XG for that chance, 0.07. And so I think there's a value to the idea of, I mean, we'll Ted Lasso it here. Believe, just believe you could do it. Believe in yourself. Believe in the opportunity that you've been given. And he took the moment. He saw the space. Really, I don't think this team gets coached to shoot from that position too often, and he just got it done. I think this not necessarily the same for Neto, but where he found himself in for the second goal is not usually where he is.
Nope.
I mean, we basically gave up on trying to force it down the wings in those last 20 minutes. He's way more central. The ball gets delivered to him. The turn he makes and like the just hit after the turn, sublime. Like that is a exceptional goal. I think things that we've been waiting to see him do a little bit more of this season. I mean, the XG for him 0.29, so just below a big chance on that one there. He had 51 touches on the day. He had 94% pass accuracy. He was 3 for 9 on his crosses. Like our crosses were just BAD bad all day long. So yeah. I don't know. Like again, the last 20 were great. If you ask me about his full 90 performance, 70 of it was not remarkable, but he stepped up. He put himself in there as a bigger game player than most, and now he puts himself at 8 total goal contributions, goals and assists for the season in the Premier League, which is not anywhere near kind of the closest to where his like highest has been. I mean, it's getting there. It's 8 is close to 11, which has been his previous high, and actually he is one off his highest goal, tying his highest goal total season at 5 when he was 20 and playing for Wolves in the Premier League. So if he were to get at this point now 2 more, he would actually have his highest goal season as a player in the Premier League at 24 years of age.
Yeah, I mean, I think just like the physics of the shot, the ball set up perfectly for him. It was a brilliant volley hit with everything that he had. I mean, it was right down the middle of the goal, but it was so well hit that Leno had no chance to even put up a hand. I think he put up his hand once the goal had hit the back of the net. That's how hard it was hit. It takes incredible athleticism to do what he just did. I mean, it like to be able to pivot your entire core like that and to get your leg wrapped around the ball to hit it with that sort of ferocity is that's big time athlete stuff. I mean, you really can't overrate that. It's a thing of beauty. And it just goals like this, one, it's a winner, it's late in the game, it's in a derby. All of these things really count. The celebration was clearly, I think some pressure off of his shoulders after some not so great performances recently as well. Like, you wonder why you haven't seen more of that sort of furious shot this year, if he's being told not to, or if it has to be in the perfect position where we walk it into the back of the net. I don't know, but I want to see anyone who has a shot from medium distance, and I talk medium distance being like the edge of the box and in, to start ripping the goddamn ball at goal as much as humanly possible. I want to see us in the 25 plus shots a game, because it takes us 25 shots to score 2 goals in most games. So if we want to score goals and we know we're not a clinical finishing team, start taking pops when you get them. Like, what's the harm in that? I don't like, who cares? Like, we're not getting many free kicks right now. So it's not like we have many dead ball opportunities. Our corners are god awful. Our crosses don't really connect with anyone because we don't have any like super great presence in the box for that sort of thing. Why are we not
To be fair,
ripping it?
the only one that worked was the Neto one in this game, the 1-2 Neto for the goal, and you could argue he had to do a little extra work to make that one happen for him.
Yeah, anyone who gets an assist for that, yeah, I don't know.
Look, he helped carry that assist for them is what he did.
Yeah.
He put that assist on his back and took it across the line. Look, we're taking that break when we get back. We're gonna transition to talking about how does this win make us feel? Are we feeling good about Chelsea now? Are we feeling the same? Are we feeling worse about their chances?
Take a guess,
particularly
Dan.
after a weekend. Oh God. If you know the answer to that and you don't like it, skip the next section. But if you don't, Join us then after this ad break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. So, look, it was a game. Feeling good about the same or worse about Chelsea's chances. I think if some of the results hadn't gone the way they did with other teams this weekend, we might have felt a little bit better about any type of Chelsea win away. But boy, oh boy, the Premier League teams around us have woken up, Nick, and decided that they too would like to consider themselves and put forward a formal bid. It's like when the the pre like the 3 years before an election where like everybody's raising their hand because they want a seat at the table. It's like every team's like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna put my hat in for Champions League too. Like I'm here now. I'm finally here. I'm finally awake. I'd like to be considered in a part of this process.
Yep. Except for us, we've decided we're going to sit out the old Champions League this year. And as I said to our good friend journalism RP Rob, he's like, there's just a lot of work. There could be a Champions League on the line, whatever. And I was like, all today did was increase the likelihood that we finish 6th or 7th instead of 8th or ninth. Like that is the real math of it. I won't take this team seriously until they string results together, and that's just the end.
Guaranteed Europa spot versus one you have to get through winning the Europa Conference League feels a little bit better to have a dual chance for that versus having to rely upon that, Nick.
Okay. So we're talking about multiple pathways to the esteemed Europa League.
I'm just saying that's better than saying, hey, we have to win that one game because we can't trust this team to win one game right now. Like, I'm taking every avenue I can for anything that's better than being home and not having any football midweek for this Chelsea team. I would love for it to be the Champions League, much like anybody listening to this podcast who's a Chelsea fan. I'm sure they would love for it to be the Champions League. I mean, we are in 5th position at time of recording. Now, that's really only because Nottingham Forest have not played a game. So they have a theoretical 3 points, which would take them up to 60 and put them back into 3rd place in the Premier League table and would push us into 6th place at the moment. Because again, there are 3 teams on 57 points. It's Chelsea, it's Forest, and Villa. Villa with a cracking win this weekend. They are now on a plus. They only have a +6 goal difference though, so like we have the beneficiary of being a +18 when you look at us, Forest and Villa. So Forest having a little bit of a downturn, 2 losses in a row. Come on, Nick. Come on. Come on.
No. I can't. No, I'm not playing that game. This team only shows up for 45 minutes maximum a game. And in that 45 minutes, they may score 3 goals and put on a great performance, or they may score 0 goals and stink up the entire joint. I don't trust them. I'm not betting on them. And I think that unless they just decide to continue to buck the Maresca system and just ball out on their own accord, then I have zero confidence in us scoring enough goals to eliminate the mistakes that we're inevitably going to make on the other side. I mean, we haven't even talked about the Reece James error that led to the goal today, him lollygagging on the ball, getting buried off of it, and then lollygagging back to not even try and win it back. Like that to me was just like, wow, these guys were really not playing for him right now. And, then they decided to do the opposite thing, which is just say, if we're not going to play for him, we might as well play for ourselves and go and have some fun doing it. And that kind of, I think, led to the end. But I do not trust this team to string any results together. You will go through the upcoming schedule of fixtures, but no. Sorry.
I do not trust that bald man. I do not think he has a plan.
No, I do not. I do not like green eggs and ham.
But you did beat Fulham. Yes. And then, so I think as it kind of transitions then to like why maybe the concern still is lingering, it's now another game where Cole maybe looked a little bit more dangerous in moments, in flashes, but still not showing that like the goal is near to coming. And I think it's the same thing with Nico too. Like these are the 2 guys that if you were going to say, hey, I feel good about Chelsea's last run here, you would need to see them take the step forward, and not just one of them, both of them. Because if you know that both of them are going, at least every game, one of them is going to be adding something to get the team going. And then the supporting cast of Pedro Neto, of
Mhm.
Jaden Sancho, of Enzo Fernandez would be able to carry, like, that alone carries you across the line. And so having your two biggest contributors over the course of the season still on stall out mode, still missing in action, is the biggest concern point for me heading into the last run of last run here. Like I would say I feel about the same, which is like I think we can finish top 5, but it is extremely difficult, and will likely finish 6th or 7th because Cole and Nico are not where they need to be. What probably is the other major issue, and we talked about it a little bit, and we can kind of get into maybe more specifics now. Enzo Maresca really seems to have kind of lost connection with, not just now supporters who at halftime gave him the business with a capital B, in the way that they kind of chanted at him, and then, walks down the tunnel at full time, which, I mean, again, you're entitled to do whatever you want to do. I mean, that's completely up to you in that regard. And some of these decisions within the rosters and the importance of certain games versus other games, it's just kind of mystifying. And like, people I think are, rightfully critical sometimes when we talk about him, but like, hey, obviously English isn't first language. Sometimes things just get lost in translation with the post match press conferences. I think that can be fair to a point, but like, the man does not do himself any favors. Did love the goal celebration. If you're concerned about seeing Enzo Maresca on the touchline in the next game, he did get a ban because that's now his third yellow card of the season. So he will not be on the touchline for our next game. So, um, good luck, replacement, against Everton, a game where you would hopefully pick up all 3 points there, so you can kind of continue forward and put yourself into the best possible position. Because again, it's Everton, Liverpool, Newcastle United, and Forest now remaining on Chelsea's last set of fixtures here. But given your thoughts on the Maresca thing, I mean, the state of execution through a match review, it does feel as if we're gonna end the season with him. Like, I don't think at this point he's gonna get fired before
No.
the end of the season.
No, I don't think he's gonna get fired now. I mean, I if we would have lost this game and gone on a slide to finish 8th or something, then that's a whole other thing. But I looked at around and like I think he said something to the effect of like, I got the yellow card for over celebrating, and that was wrong. And so I think he just acknowledged that he got his dumb yellow card, which is a fair enough thing. And he's like, once we won, I wanted the players to celebrate, and that's why I went down the tunnel to avoid any other, kind of shenanigans. And like, whatever, it's fine. I don't care. The less I see of him right now, the better. So I'd rather not. But like, it feels like there's a big rift now between the fans and him for sure. Like, I think the fans were incredibly patient until he started spouting absolute nonsense in the last 3 or 4 weeks. Teams getting better, we're in control when we have done nothing of note to start the season. Or sorry, not start the season, since the holiday break. But I do think like today was an interesting moment for him and his players, right? Players just started playing the ball that they were playing at the beginning of the season, which is notably not his system, not passing the ball back, not controlling it, doing the chaos ball that we saw at the end of last season. And we won, and it fit the personnel that was out there. And if I were him, I'd be like, well, shit, this is not good. This is not good for me. It's not good for my, coaching philosophy. And I do think that he believes that he should be the only voice in the room. He does have that sort of like, you know, um, Conte esque kind of the mannerisms that demand everyone respect him and respect him alone, and none of the background to support deserving that. And I think he's probably at a crossroads for him in his own coaching career, Dan, because I imagine that this year's been incredibly difficult for him, especially the last 4 months. I don't wish that on anybody. It's just the way that it's happened, and I think we're reacting accordingly in real time. That his system has been picked apart and it's been found out, and this is the second year in a row that it's been picked apart and found out, and none of us have any confidence in it, and it's boring to watch. On top of all that, and so if I were him, I'd be really probably introspective right now as to what's going on.
So I mean, probably what post match drew the most criticism, or drew the most criticism, was his comment about the significance of the win. We mentioned that the goal from Neto doesn't change our season. I said already in the last 3 years, Chelsea have never been in the Champions League spot in those last 3 years. The goal doesn't change it. It's already a good season, but Pedro's goal gives us a chance to be there in it. And this was also talking about, I mean, early in the season, the expectation was to get back in the Champions League, and like the disconnect or the revisionist nature of the commentary is where you lose people. And so I want to get through the end of the season at this point. I want to win the conference league. I want to finish top 5 and just do that. And then we can reassess anything at the end of the season. I mean, look, he's the one he said who made a technical decision and a tactical decision today to leave Nkunku out and have Tyreek George available. And he brings Tyreek George in and he scores the go ahead goal. Like that was a decision he needed to be making earlier in the season when he saw that Nkunku wasn't working out and wasn't going to work out. Maybe a willingness to change in some way, shape, or form. Maybe like not as rigid as we think, but maybe not the best communicator. Like a lot of things can be true at the same time.
He just won't get out of his own way, man. He just won't get out of his own way. Like, all you have to do after a game like this, even if you're feeling some sort of way about how it happened, which I'm sure he was, knowing his rigidity that he has with the system, is go, hey, I'm really proud of the guys. It was an amazing comeback. And, look, we have a lot of work to do, obviously, to get, a lot of things right, because the first 70 minutes were clearly not good enough. But I'm really proud of the way they persevered and made it. And now we're going to push on to these last 6 games of the season. That's all you have to say. You don't have to like belittle the goal that was scored to keep your ass in a job. Like, I just don't, I don't get, I don't understand why he is so, I don't even know the word for it. It's like self-defeating. Like he's just, it's like if it doesn't happen in his way, in his perfect little way, then it doesn't count. Like, dog, that might be your goal of the season, and it's like you're diminishing the quality of it because it wasn't. I don't know. I don't get it.
Well, the only other thing, maybe of the most important that he had to say in his press conference, was giving information about Malagusto suffering a setback. Again, he did have the very late game sub after being a sub, but so he was not the sub who got subbed off because the sub didn't work. He was the sub who got off because the sub got injured.
Yeah.
I said it was not a good one, a muscle problem. You can see against Ipswich, second half, he was inside, changed the game. Today, he was inside, changed the game. How important Mallow is for us. And unfortunately, it looks like a muscle injury. So we won't know what that means. But I mean, like, we've seen
Didn't look
3 weeks to 6 weeks. I mean, that could have been the last time we've seen him this Premier League season, like, in all fairness. So
There's a month left in the season.
Just keep that in mind, and expect that we might see some interesting changes in our lineup and the back line, given what we have there. But it's going to mean trusting another academy player to come in and allow for some rotation and flexibility here. And so that is where we're at in the season, Nick.
Yeah, I mean, it's Trev and Reese now, probably through the end of the year. It looked like a pretty bad hamstring. Like, he wasn't even walking that. Like, it didn't look like he was walking with any real comfort. He pulled up after a challenge with Adama Traore, obviously. And, that's a bowling ball of a human being to challenge with. But yeah, it looks like your standard hamstring pull. And we've had terrible luck with those on many fronts over the last couple of years. So I think we kind of all know what the timeline looks like. Even if he is back, will he be fully back? Probably not. Like those are really tricky ones to heal. We have a number of experiences that would tell us that it's probably not a full
No.
Malo Gusto to the end of the year. I mean, let's just call a spade a spade. He'll be lucky if he's back and really truly fit for the Club World Cup in June, because it's that's not that far after the end of the season. It's only like a month, you know.
You don't need to tell me twice, Nick. Most exciting tournament in the world, the Club World Cup, coming up this summer in the United States of America. But look, Chelsea do have some football games left remaining between now and then that they got to think about. We did kind of go over the list, but just a reminder, it's Everton. We've got our
Mhm.
Conference League game, Liverpool, our Conference League game, Newcastle, United, Forest, and then in less than a month after the season ends, we are in the U.S. for the Club World Cup. But as mentioned earlier, we are back in a Champions League spot at the moment of time of recording in fifth position. The Forest does have a game in hand, so keep that in mind. But look, third place through seventh place, it is a 2-point delta between those
Mhm.
teams right now. And so there can be a lot of shakeup between now and the end of the season. Unfortunately, Aston Villa, 5 wins in a row. Form
Mhm.
for Newcastle, 4 wins and 1 loss. Man City just doesn't want to lose, 3 wins and 2 draws. And then we're there with the 2 wins, 2 draws, a loss, and then Forest 3 wins, but the last 2 losses. So again, the Premier League is going to Premier League, and the craziness and zaniness is going to happen. And you're going to get things like Anthony Taylor deciding that 96 minutes means 97, and weird things are going to happen in games. But you got to take it as he can.
The funniest tweet I saw from the first like 70 minutes of this game is Chelsea have been so bad that Anthony Taylor hasn't had to referee against us yet. Now, that's really saying something, fellas. I mean, usually he's straight out of the gate ready with a terrible decision. He's probably like, ugh, this is, ugh, how am I going to make this any worse?
Here's the thing. Here's what you could say. So Chelsea are going to play Everton without Enzo Maresca on the touchline. If Chelsea play better against Everton, did Anthony Taylor help Chelsea secure 3 points to win a game, 2 consecutive games in a row?
Dan, I know you're going to preview this game with Sam,
Yeah.
but the thought of the Everton counterattack against our terrible possession based system has already given me hives.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
TMI
So,
moment of the podcast there. But look, that's a match review. That's a recap. That's us done on the weekend. You enjoying this sometime on your Monday, whether it's during a commute, whether it's in the office, or just late at night walking the dog or hanging out with somebody. That's going to do it for this one. But plenty of content coming this week. That way, this week we do have a YouTube video. Sadly, talking about the Chelsea women's loss to Barcelona.
yeah.
It was not.
Oof.
Boy, oh boy. If I was talking about one game that I thought was going to go well this weekend, it was not the Chelsea men's game that we were going to be having a very more uplifting episode about. We'll have a midweek pod as well, and then an Everton preview at the end of the week. But it's going to do it for this one. So again, thank you so much for listening. And until next time, Chelsea fans, you know what to do. Keep the blue flag flying high.